Welcome, fellow Xlanders. This is Thank Me Later, streaming live from where? Botany Bay. Yes. Today's background is brought to you by the internet because there wasn't another Botany Bay submission, and we're going to be doing some Botany Bay themed stuff today. So thank you, everybody, for joining. It looks like people are coming in. It is an exciting day. We are closing the boarding doors. We did not hit anywhere close to our 800 people that clicked the button. The server has well over 800 people in it, which is good there. But it looks like our Genesis crew is going to have lots of leg room. And honestly, I'm okay with that. So let's see what is happening. All right. First time in chat. Javato GG, thank you for being here. That's your first time in this particular chat. Again, we are starting this new channel, UPX World Live. This is where we are going to present all information for UPX World. We will also be doing live creation streams and demos. We will be co-hosting with artists and developers. So be sure that you follow, like the channel, and all of these recordings will actually be on our YouTube as well. So if you wanted to share anything that's happening here, be sure to check out the YouTube. Also, calling all social media, specifically video kind of gurus. If you are good at doing clips and video editing, be sure to hit me up. We are looking for someone to help kind of curate our video content and collection. I love the enthusiasm. We had a bunch of people coming in early, starting the chat. I love to see that. And so let's see who else we got. We got Architect doing the countdown. Love it. Oh, Los Montana in the house. What up, brother? So happy that you could join us. Botany Bay all the way every day. Hashtag my name is blue. There you go. My name is blue. All right. Yes. This is a new one. So be sure that if you haven't previously, please do follow. This is a key metric that we look at for how we're growing our social engagement and our community. Twitch is going to be probably one of our primary social channels, especially from a live perspective. This is where, once we get up and going and we have games, this will be where we'll do any sort of live broadcasts. So major racing, all of that. So you definitely want to be following this channel because there's going to be some fun stuff here. Extra, Kevin says extra rations. So yes, that's true. We don't have to eat the deceased. Extra rations. Granted, I mean, we are, robots, hybrids, but sure. Yeah, extra rations, extra oil, extra Elsie brew to go around. Yeah. Yes, for those of you who don't know, we do have an official brew that was selected during yesterday's cast. Oh, I should have had like a digital version that I could like hold. I got to get on that. That'd be cool. You get like one of those like overlays, like an Instagram filter of the drink. That'd be pretty cool. All right. Finsky, UDU in the house. I'm really glad that we have some U2U representation because today we are going to be talking about community and why community is so important and what we're going to be doing to empower communities and nodes. And when I'm saying community, I'm talking about neighborhood communities and networks and nodes. So like UDU as a network. Mars Buggy Moon Unit from Upland. Hey. I hope someday that says Moon Unit from UPX World. Just saying, just throwing that out there. Yes. All right. So, yes. Nice tall Elsie. If you don't know what that is, be sure to check out Bounty number 8, I think was the drink. You can check the archives for that image, but that'll be around as we build out our lore and our Xlander Chronicles. So, a couple housekeeping rules, or housekeeping, not rules, pieces. We are closing the boarding doors today. So, probably within the next, let's say, 2 hours. I want to make sure, because what's going to happen is that survey, the living quarters, is going to be archived. That particular post and channel is going to get archived. And we are going to go through that. So I do want to call out, there are several people that I think submitted or did the action of the emoji, but were not captured or did not get the correct roles. I want you to know if that's a case of one of your friends or somebody that you know, we are going to audit that. So that will be archived, and we will be auditing to make sure every person who reacted to that, who has an active reaction to that, has those roles. And then there will be another post that'll be very similar to allow new players to select their living quarters. We've gotten a lot of good traction on kind of the evolution of the living quarters situation. It almost has become like a mini faction type system. So we are going to continue that theme. And this is, one of the beauties of what we're building here as a community is, if you're familiar, say, with agile development, we are doing agile community creation and agile storytelling here. And if there is something that we do that resonates more with the community, either positively or negatively, we are going to look to shift what we do to kind of highlight that or to unhighlight that. So the living quarters has driven a lot of great interactions and community content. So we have the backgrounds that are already going, and I'll reveal a little bit later in this stream today's stream bounty. It'll be actually a week-long creative writing contest. So this is going to be a little bit different. We do want to give a range of creators opportunities to contribute. And so we've had a lot of art-based and 3D modeling-based and other creative bounties. This will be our first. Also, how's the audio on this? Because maybe I need to move this. I want to check. Make sure that my actual game audio is okay. So we are going to have a variety, and this will be a writing contest. So all of you creative writers out there, get ready. We're actually going to be doing a couple different ones, and this will be the first one. So stay tuned. Let's see here. Ooh, hey, first time chat, ain't right. Oh, hey, that's Maze. Oh, mate, I'm so glad that you joined. You're definitely going to want to know, because today's theme is all about community and ultimately Upland Wiki, by the way. So just so you know, Upland Wiki is part of, if you're not familiar with upland.wiki, you should check it out. It needs some love. It needs some love for sure. I created it a while ago, earlier this year, and it is designed, it's very much like Wikipedia for Upland. It's an open source where we are just tracking the cities and the neighborhoods, and then communities and nodes that are created for those. It's a centralized system to be able to, help new players kind of navigate and learn about it. And so we'll be adding a lot of helpful content to that. but it's going to be important to know that the upland.wiki is kind of going to be our, and by our, I mean UpX World's source of truth for communities and nodes and networks and all of that. So, in order to unlock some of the features, so if you wanted to create a community meta phase, so if you've been following along, those meta phases are the instances of Upland. So if you are planning on doing that for your community, and you want your community to be able to have a meta phase, there is going to be a registration process. And one of those steps is that you must be registered on the wiki. And there are reasons for that. So the underlying database infrastructure is going to be connected to UpX World. So that way we understand which neighborhoods have communities and nodes. And we'll also be able to feed back information to the wiki to highlight like, here's all the meta phases that are attached to this, and here's a lot more really cool analytics. So the data mines that we have will actually be feeding into the upland.wiki as well, from both the Upland data as well as the UpX World data. So the Upland wiki, I know it looks kind of in need of love right now, but we are going to be standardizing and growing that a lot more. That's why I specifically want to call. I know Maze has been doing an amazing job, specifically with Queens. And so, like I mentioned the other day, I think Queens is going to be a city when we start doing city versus city competitions. That is going to be a tough potential competition if we got some coordinated efforts between all of the Queens neighborhoods, or a majority of the Queens neighborhoods. So looking forward to that. All right, cool. Thank you. I'm glad the audio is good. Can't wait to hit Crypto Kitty Quarter. What up? I hear that. All right. I'm glad the audio is good. Oh, you added some Rio. Yeah, so I added the Rio and Vegas cities. Yes. More cheese in the house. Pinsky. Yes. All right. I love this community. All right. I was about to send a cheesy reminder. Good. Well, I'm glad that people are looking out for each other. Yeah. I don't want to miss any of our broadcasts, but if you do, they are on our YouTube channel, which you can find linked, I'm sure, somewhere. And I'm sure that my Scotch is like, what are you like? Yeah, there's very specific places. We have all of our social media in very specific places. So let's talk about the Upland Wiki, and let's talk about classifications of neighborhoods. And this is something that I think is going to be important, and we want to establish kind of some common vernacular, some common terms. And one of the big things I know is nodes. And if you go to the wiki right now, everything is a node. Like, that's just how it's classified. If you are doing something with a neighborhood, it's essentially a node. And that has been adopted. So UDU originally created the concept of these nodes inside of Upland as a way to connect multiple communities and different neighborhoods together under an underlying theme and kind of overarching network, right? And so they're able to pull resources and coordinate between different projects and areas. And I think that is fundamentally, which is awesome, by the way. But I think when we start talking about how do you take your neighborhood, so if we look at probably the classifications, right? You kind of have an unstructured neighborhood. So that's just going to be any neighborhood that comes out. Like, that's pretty much, it's just an unstructured neighborhood. You can go buy it. And then the next step would be a community neighborhood. And now it's not necessarily better or worse than what we call a node today. It's just a specific classification of saying if it's a community neighborhood, it means that there is a community that is doing something with that neighborhood, but it's very specific to that one area. And Alamo Square is a perfect example of a community neighborhood. They aren't looking to control multiple neighborhoods. They aren't even looking to expand their footprint. Like that is a community that is focused on one very specific neighborhood. That's what they call home. That's where they're focusing their resources, and that's where they're going to, focus their efforts. And so I want to make sure that we understand that there is a difference, and it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing either. Of like that's a community, and we need to classify it as that. Like there needs to be a way to register those as communities, and we want them to be able to have community metaphases and community events and still compete in like the neighborhood versus neighborhood stuff that we're going to be doing in the social layers. But then there's also, these larger organizations, UDU, TNA, Los Libros. I don't want to say that wrong. But there's a couple larger kind of networks that are growing. And the Queen's example is a great example of another network that is, trying to do multiple neighborhoods coordinating under a single effort. So we want to be able to classify, hey, this is the network that's kind of running these neighborhoods. And then each one of those neighborhoods becomes a node. So I hope that makes sense. And we're going to document all of this out because I think it is important that we start, aligning on understanding, well, what are you really creating a node? Like, are you planning on having a network that's feeding into it or, feeding each other? And what is like the setup and organization of that? And that's going to be more controlled, right? Because we want to be able to do different things with large organizations versus smaller communities. And so that way we can help balance some things out. So I hope that that makes sense. Let me go and check what we got here. Let's see. All right, cool. Oh, well, that was your first time posting Goldsmith Gaming on this one. So nice. All right. Well, more cheese and well, I guess you're both UDU, so I can understand your support. I am curious what the rest of the community thinks. I mean, Ed Mace, who's obviously a network leader, does that make sense? Like, what do you guys think? Like, is that the way we should be classifying it? I do want to separate because it is, to me, it's two distinct kind of visions on what's trying to be executed. And I think that the tools to manage and the process to kind of register those entities should be slightly different because we do want to hold those networks to a slightly higher caliber, right? So one thing that we're seeing, and I know that this particular cast, I'm talking a lot about Upland as opposed to UPX World, but fundamentally, this is a big piece when we start talking about the social layer of UPX World and how things like neighborhood versus neighborhood competitions are going to work, and how registering for a meta phase and being able to get a meta phase for your project or for your community is going to play out. This is not going to be a free-for-all situation. There is going to be a path to essentially verify projects because over the past year plus, we've seen some kind of fly-by-night projects come that, hey, we're this new hot node, and really it's just like, I hate the term pump and dump. It just kind of sits bad with me, but that's really what is happening. They buy a bunch of properties, they hype up a neighborhood, and then they dump the majority of their holdings, and then they don't really continue to do anything with that neighborhood. And that is certainly not something that we want to encourage in layer 2 and what we're building. So we are going to put it in place that it needs to be registered for a couple of different reasons. But ultimately, upland.wiki is going to be that database, the underlying data there is going to feed into UpX World as far as, hey, validating that there is a corresponding node or community, and then that will allow those community owners to register a metaphase and create a metaphase, and then that data as well. So that way, in that neighborhood, you can see the registered metaphases. Like, hey, it's part of these global metaphases, right? That's like, here's all these San Francisco. Here's the global. Here's your city. Here's your neighborhood ones, right? And so that way, it's very easy to see. Oh, wow, this neighborhood has like 5 dedicated metaphases. It's got this Western Tower Defense theme. It's got this medieval skateboard metaphase, which I don't even know how that works. Jousting on skateboard sounds super dangerous, but I'm here for it, right? So that'll allow players who are trying to decide where do they want to call home, because having a home is going to be super important, because that is how you unlock your personal metaphase, which is going to be one of the first and I think most impactful things that we're going to be doing, is allowing players to have a place to call their own, and to be able to hang up art, and to be able to do all the cool, fun things with your NFTs that everybody's been wanting to do. And then hopefully the idea would be that people will come and visit, and you can invite friends, and you can have a little social event or gathering inside your home, etc. So, all right, holy cow, we got some big responses here. All right, I need to let's see here. So sounding great, perfect sense, makes a lot of sense. Cool. Looking forward to it. Let's see, more cheese, which full credit to more cheese here. So for those of you, and I don't want to get too much into it, for those of you who don't know the background, there was a bit of a tiff between, myself and other community members, like, how are you defining a node? And we won't get into Genesis node, anything like that. But, More Cheese was very patient, walked me through kind of how, her vision and the U2U vision of kind of nodes and networks. And it did start to make sense of like, yeah, I think we do need different classifications, especially for where we're going with layer 2, right? Like right now, it probably doesn't make too much of a difference what you call it. But as we start to build on top of that and empower communities to do different things, it's going to be critical that we're on the same page as what defines a community versus a node. How do you get to become a network? And so what are the criteria for that? Let's see. Morchi says a node is a group of community developments under a same umbrella. Only difference is one versus. Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's got to be driving towards the same goal. And we are going to have, again, like I said, higher criteria and requirements for somebody to be able to register a network and then subsequently allow that network to control nodes. So in order to have a network, you must have at least 2 neighborhoods. So likely it'll start with a community. And then once you want to expand that and you've established yourself as a community, then you can say, hey, we've been an established community. We're looking to expand our presence. We're going to create a network. This becomes the first node in our network. And then here is the second node, and this is the community. So that's going to be an option, or it can be like 2 communities that are like, hey, we're going to merge together to create a network. So we'll have some different paths to get people to have the networks, and there's pros and cons, right? So a community is not necessarily better or worse than a node, because there's going to be very powerful communities who just focus on a single neighborhood. Like that is completely fine. Porky Park, I think Porky Park is probably a great example. And that's Portage Park in Chicago, where like I believe they are just a community. And I hate saying the word just a community like that, but I believe that they are a community that is focused on that neighborhood specifically. And that allows them to put all of their energy and focus into a consolidated neighborhood, which in my opinion is not a bad thing at all. All right. So let's see what we got here. May says, I think there's room for a couple different types. Queens, for example, of really several nodes just joining together in Queens for a collaborative effort. Oh yeah, BUC, can't forget BUC and DT. Yeah, so that's interesting. I would still consider it a network maze, but are you saying like is the network. Yeah, we could talk about that. Are the community, because that's the other thing, is like a neighborhood. Can a neighborhood be part of more than one network? So like, because if you're like, hey, this is our citywide network versus a global network, I don't know. That's a good call. Yep. Yeah. Everything you're doing, if you're creating a community, you're needed and you're doing awesome work. The node network versus community project versus community neighborhood are all important distinctions. Yeah, yeah, no, agreed. And I think even inside the communities, because you have like social communities, you have racing communities, or like activity communities. You have business communities and like commercial communities, development communities, stuff like that. I built outside a node just on my own node cluster. I mean, yeah, you could have a personal cluster, yeah. But what we're talking about is probably a little bit bigger and coordinating with multiple players. If there are different neighborhood developments under the same business, then consider those a neighborhood. Yeah, probably different than UDU. Yeah. So again, I don't think that there's. I think when we talk about a network and nodes, that the idea is that there's like a central theme or a central team that's governing the kind of drive towards those neighborhoods. So in theory, when governance comes out, right? So when there's like different governance calls, in theory, that the high level team of that network would have influence in all of its nodes to be able to say, well, hey, these nodes are this, these nodes are this, this is how we should be voting on governance things. So that's what we'll be looking for is, is it a network? And then are the nodes under control of that network? We will be evaluating on things like votes and community participation and some other factors that we still have to work out that'll determine, if it is in fact a valid node attached to a network. So that's good. Let's see here. All right, I'm gonna have to skip. Yeah, she did. Yep, absolutely. Because I was kind of harsh, but absolutely. And yeah, and then we crushed at the craps table, so that was awesome. Let's see. I root and be part of many projects outside UDU as well. It's important to have community. Oh yeah, like you don't have to own. Like you as an individual, you can be part of every community and network that you want. I don't have any problem with that. Likely, we will limit the amount of communities or things that a player can say that they own or claim, because we do want the people who are running a community to be dedicated to that project. And again, that's different than if you're like running a network. But if you're running a network, we would also expect that each neighborhood, almost like, I don't want to say lieutenants because I don't want to do the military references, but we would expect that there would be leaders of the nodes and then leaders of the network. And we'll put all those things together. All right, let's see here. Yeah, communities are so important. I cannot stress that enough. Oh, dude. Orchid Park. Oh, yeah. Dude. So good. All right, let's see. It is a network, yes, but the upper structure part consists of council members of existing neighborhood projects. We'll work it out for sure. Going to be huge. Yeah, so I like that. So it's almost like a collective, right? So you have all of these individual communities, and then as a collective, you're saying, well, we're going to work together as a group. I love that, and I would say that that's still a network of nodes, right? And then at that point, each one of your neighborhoods becomes a node, and then your council can run. If you're saying that your council runs the network, then that's fine too. Mexican down in the house. What up, X Snatch Face? Thank you for joining and thank you for posting. It's super cool. It tells me like if it's your first time chat, which I also like. So I like that. All right, let's see here. All right. Nice background. Yeah. No, today's background, if you didn't hear, is brought to you by Google because there wasn't another Botany Bay submission, but we will be talking Botany Bay. Okay. So, like I mentioned, and I think most people here know, we are closing the boarding doors today. Let's just see what we have here, where our final numbers are. Ooh, Botany Bay. I mean, I know you guys were pretty proud of being kind of the top living quarters. Can I just say that currently you have 89 and Galactic Gamer has 91? I'm just throwing that out there. And in fact, honestly, Socially Selective Center isn't that far behind either. But these polls will be closing fairly shortly. So, if you have people that still need to get in, please, I don't want anybody to miss out on this opportunity. But you guys voted, said slam those doors shut. So we're slamming those doors shut. Hey, that's not me. Like, I asked the community. So when somebody joins tomorrow and they're like, what? I missed the Genesis boarding. And I'm like, yeah, you got to get on, GV2 over there, or whatever. Then it's just like, Blake, you can go back to the recording. I asked, and they said, shut it down. So anyway, so looking forward to that. And then let's talk about our next competition. So this is going to be something that we are running for 1 week. So I'm going to post a bounty, and it's actually, and it might be a little delayed because I actually need to do some setup for it. I need to create, this is going to be slightly different than what we've done before, in the sense that it's not going to be everybody just posting into a thread. We're actually going to have a Google form, and it is going to be a storytelling contest. And the story is going to be the backstory of Botany Bay. So this is going to be something that will ultimately be part of our Xlander Chronicles, which the Xlander Chronicles are the lore of UPX World. So this is kind of, our history. And since it's a fictional world, we have to make up our history. We get to write our own history, if you will. So this will be the first of several different writing contests that we release. There will be at least one for each of the different living quarters. As I said at the top of the show, it seems like people are really getting behind these living quarters. We kind of just did it as a fun way to grant roles, specifically the Genesis Xlander role. But it's gotten a lot of traction within the community. It seems to be a fun and engaging way to interact. So we're going to continue it. And so again, like I said, we'll have that every Xlander essentially forever now. I guess that's just what we're going to have to do. You're going to have to pick a living quarter, and that will actually work because, again, if you are new, I'm sorry. Spoiler, the ship kind of crash lands. The Genesis ship crash lands. Sorry, fam, on what we ultimately claim as UPX World. And so that will have essentially the story will evolve from, we take apart the ship to then create our living quarters. The living quarters is called Purgatorium, which it's like purgatory and dormitory together, Purgatorium. And so crash is such a harsh word. I prefer early landing. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just an early landing. So what will happen is we'll end up repurposing parts of the ship to build our living quarters, to build our Purgatorium. So they aren't going to be as glorious as this because obviously it's going to crash. So the Purgatorium is going to essentially be a sadder, that's a bad word too, a sadder version of kind of what the ship living quarters is, because we have to make do, right? We've crash landed, and so we're going to have to make do with what we have. So that's, you'll see a competition we're going to do 1 week. You submit the backstory for Botany Bay. You do not have to be a Botany Bay resident to submit that story. It's not, you don't have to write an essay. In fact, you're not allowed to write an essay. Scotch made me cap it out at like 800 characters for the background. And what we're going to do is over the next week, we'll collect them all. And then Scotch and I will review them and pick the top 3 from there. So we'll pick our 3 favorites, and then we will read them to the community on next week's, probably this stream of next week. And then you'll be able to vote. So you definitely want to catch that. And also, if you are one of the finalists, and maybe we won't tell you whose story is which, but I might announce who the finalists are ahead of time. So that way, if you are one of the finalists, you might want to rally some friends to come, vote your story up. And that story will then become a permanent part of the Xlander Chronicles as told by yourself. So you will be, credited as the author of that. That will be a permanent part of the game's lore. That will be a permanent part of the backstory of what we're building. And there might also be another, perk or something, that might be, I don't know. I got to be careful. I don't want to get too liberal with giving out the lifetime VIX, because I do want those to be kind of special. But I'm sure that we can figure out something else to kind of tide you over. Maybe it's even like 6 months of VIX. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But the reward aside, we will have that competition. We'll read it out. Everybody will vote, and then that'll be it. That'll be the backstory for Botany Bay. All right, let's see what we got here. I don't know if I read Opie, first time. Hi, I won. I don't know what you won, but you're in. You could have it. Let's see. Do they have cheese on UPX Planet? Asking for a friend. I mean, I feel like we have to feed our lab rats something. They probably like cheese, so maybe. Plus, we don't have. I don't know. I don't know if Xlanders can smell. So I'm sure that there's just some things fermenting that probably makes some cheese. We could do that. Let's see. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Obi, for the follow. Thank you, Camazone, for the follow. X Snatch Face for the follow. Los and Dizzy, and you guys followed before the stream or right as the stream, so much appreciated. And Java was also an earlier. Oh, Goldsmith, what do you mean? You guys are all following when we're offline? I'm okay with that. Okay. So, are there any questions about that contest? If not, I will say also the background contest is still up. I like the submissions for Botany Bay, but certainly, with this. Oh, Shacklin, you just now followed Shacklin? Are you kidding me? What? No, tease it. Thank you for the follow, Shacklin. If you have a Botany Bay design, feel free to submit it. This probably is now a good thematic time. We did have the 2 submissions that I showed earlier. Some great ones there, and then there's still open for all the other backgrounds. We do want it to be, semi-artistic. It definitely doesn't need to be like a photorealistic, but something more probably handmade. We got a lot of the AI generated art, which is super fun and cool, but we're probably looking for something a little bit more personal. That's been maybe hand created for those spots. But by all means, if you get some cool AI created stuff or some filter work that you guys do, post it. I mean, it's great content, and there's always opportunities to use stuff elsewhere. For instance, I know, speaking of Shactalin made a really cool X for a badge. It's a little small for the like when you shrink it down, you lose some of the fun, but it makes a great sticker. Oh, it is a cool sticker. If you haven't checked it out, it is now one of the stickers of the UpX World Discord. So you can slam that X. And I can see that transitioning very easily into a gaming asset where if we do like building tagging or something like that, or allow stickers and stuff inside the game, I could see that X being a really hot thing. It's pretty good. I like it. It's a lot of fun. So please don't hesitate to submit and post it in the chat, anything that you have, because again, we are growing. Any assets, anything that you make, there are potential opportunities to use that elsewhere inside the project. All right. Yes, I know. Yes, yes, Jackson. I know that you had followed the previous one, so thank you for the refollow on the new account. And that is a reminder. This is a new Twitch stream. So if you had followed the other Twitch stream, which is appreciated, by the way, just make sure that you're also following this one so you get all of the updates. There's also a schedule out. So if you haven't, I think you can like link it if you're a Gmail person or some other ways. You can link that calendar so that way you get notified when things are happening. Obviously, we'll be posting in the Discord. I also put the events there so that way everyone knows what is happening when. All right, fantastic. All right, so now what else can we talk about? What do you guys want to talk about? We got 18 minutes left, and by all means, if we wrap up, if we get through all of the content, I'm not trying to hold anybody here for an hour. If we get through the content that we need to in time. So let me just check my notes. Check with Scotch. Let me see. Oh, what is this? You can add the events here straight for Discord as well. I don't know what that means. I have to look into that. You can add the events here straight for the Discord. Okay. My anxiety is driving me to delete my submissions, but I can't. Oh no. Don't delete your submissions. They're fun and they're good. And again, they give like a good starting point as well for people to maybe work off of. Plus, so here's the other thing. There's nothing to say that we can't then convert that into a poster, right? Or something that then if somebody wanted to hang that on their wall. I mean, it's cool art, right? And so we're going to have other opportunities. Don't delete any content that you make. There's nothing to be embarrassed about because it's all really good and we can leverage it, right? So Discord won't let you. Good. Did I remove that? I don't know if that's possible. You can't delete anything. You don't get to delete it. You have to keep it there forever. Honestly, if there is something you wanted to delete and you can't, which you should be able to, just let myself or Scotch know. I choose Botany Bay. Uh-oh. What does that do for our numbers? You knew? That put it to 90. Botany Bay's at 90, you guys. Gamers, come on. We cannot let Botany Bay win. It's got to be Galactic Gamers. Come on. Don't let me down, guys. Oh, no. It's fine. Honest, Joe. And I mean this, and I don't mean to call anybody out, but like if you, at least you are on point of like, hey, here's like potential what this room could look like. I've been asking for a GX badge that I can shrink down to give to all of you awesome Genesis Xlanders. And the designs that are coming through are amazing. You guys are creating some incredible art and it's so detailed and there's lots going on, but I can't shrink it down to tiny and put it, it's going to be like microscopic. Go look at like the UWA, or like there's a little X next to like my name. There's like a little X. Like it's super, super tiny. So it has to be able to be like a 5 by 5 pixel or 10 by 10 pixel and still be able to see what it is. So I want to make sure that we get a really cool. It doesn't even have to be a GX. So here's the other thing. It doesn't have to be a GX. It can just be a tiny icon that represents what it means to be a Genesis Xlander. Like a first, like don't make it actually like first or anything, but like you can get creative and just make like even a tiny like globe, or maybe like a golden globe or a golden GX or something. So anyway, that said, again, there's no bad submissions. It doesn't matter. Post the content you're creating. We'll figure out how to use it. It's super fun. I get that, but can we turn it into an NFT? So here's the interesting thing, Los. UpX World is not in the business of creating NFTs as such. Somebody just left Botany Bay too. Sorry, Botany Bay, you're back down to 89. Now that being said, the architecture of what we're building, right? So actually, let me pull up this slide, because this is an important piece, and it's evolving, right? Like I want to make sure that everybody here knows, like UpX World is, if you're not familiar with agile development, it's an agile project. We have our roadmap of where we're going, and we have key milestones that we need to hit, but we are flexible with exactly how that gets executed. That way we can adjust to market conditions, community conditions, etc., as needed. So that being said, let me show this to give context. So if you haven't seen this, so this is the current gaming market, right? Great. Here's your in-app purchase, blah, blah, blah. Let's just skip to the fun part. So UpX World is not in the business of being an NFT creator. The core content of what we're doing, all of the in-app purchases that are made inside of UpX World are account bound, just like any other game that you buy a skin or a poster or something. Now, where it gets interesting is the way that it'll work is the in-app purchases will all be backed by an OAR, original asset record. Okay. So this OAR, the original asset record for all in-app purchases on UpX World, will be an NFT. Okay. So follow with me. The idea here was being that we would partner with existing NFT projects in addition to Upland. So if you have an NFT project that has assets, then that asset, if it's a unique asset, can be done as an OAR, original asset record. And that OAR is linked to an IAP. And I love acronyms. If you are in consulting, then you appreciate the fact that everything we do has acronyms. And that is where those in-app purchases come. So let's talk about these digital posters, right? So all of the great art that Wedge is making, let's say he wants to turn those into a series of in-app purchases inside of UpX World. Well, first we need to create it as an NFT. Now, we weren't originally going to have an NFT set because we aren't selling NFTs. UpX World is not in the business of selling their own NFTs. That's not ever going to happen. We're never going to have a land sale or an NFT sale ever. Full stop. That's not ever going to happen because we aren't selling NFTs. Now, that being said, there is a need that we might have a collection like on Wax or something that allows us to take the art and the concepts that are being created by the community and tokenize that and represent that as an NFT and then give that to the artist, right? So it's 100%, it just goes back to the artist and we're just creating that NFT for them so that way they have it. And then we attach that to the in-app purchase. So for instance, if we took one of the, the custom designs or the AI created art from one of the players that was like, oh, this is really cool. We turn that into an NFT for them, give it to them, no cost, and then attach it as the OAR for an in-app purchase. And this is where it gets super fun, right? Because your normal NFT is like, okay, maybe you stake it, or it's really hard to actually get passive income against an NFT that isn't in a weird way. Because honestly, I don't like the staking concept where you stake it and then you just get like from a community pool, because the people who run those tokenomics historically have struggled really hard to balance that. With this, it's like there is no tokenomics to worry about because you get paid based on in-app purchases. So if you create something that has a large following that you're able to promote, that people are excited about, that is super cool, and it's related to a high value in-app purchase, well, then your NFT will continually earn passive income based off of that. So much like a property inside of Upland earns interest, now your NFTs can earn revenue through the in-app purchase sales. And honestly, it's probably closer to your property can get visits. And so that is essentially a micro transaction that a player pays to use your property as a jump point, and that creates passive revenue. So the send mechanic of Upland is probably the closest thing to a passive revenue that we currently have. And we're looking to expand that. I don't want to go into too much detail on how we are, knock on wood, creating a design that will allow existing properties inside of Upland to have additional layer 2 capabilities that your properties can earn passive income from gameplay in layer 2 just by owning the property in layer 1. So we want to empower, and this is hopefully going to offset, and I think ultimately is what Upland wants to do anyway, as they lower the interest. They said, they want players to be earning money elsewhere or through other mechanics. So what we want to do is potentially subsidize that with passive income from your properties. Now, hear me very carefully. This is not a universal passive income by any means. This is going to be very targeted, and it's going to be targeted towards communities that have profitable meta phases where people are coming in, playing games, and doing things. We will essentially enable those neighborhoods to create a profit share for their community. And this is going to be an important economic factor for these communities and for these nodes to say, we need to create a following and an active community that's interacting with our meta phases, that's playing the games that we're creating, that is bringing revenue to our neighborhood, and then enabling a shared revenue where stakeholders and we still have to work out the exact mechanics, but property owners in that neighborhood that are participating in the profit share can then earn passive income by owning properties in selected neighborhoods. So that's going to be awesome. We're also doing that, Los, I know you'd be interested, the decor stuff we're doing with the passive income. So the UPX World decor is going to have a secondary layer. So when you buy a decor, the UPX World decor in layer 2, that will turn into potentially an interaction of a mini game or some interactive layer 2 feature that will then allow passive income against that piece of decor as well as players interact with it. Let's say, for instance, that it is a health fountain. So in MMO style, you're going around, you're fighting bad guys, you need health. Oh, there's a health fountain here. It's 20 UPX to fill up your health. Cool, let me fill up my health and go on. If you use that decor to do that, then the decor owner can get a piece of that, and thus adding now passive revenue to the decor. And so that is one of the key themes. You're going to hear it time and time again. Layer 1, decentralization of assets. That's kind of been the primary focus. For layer 2, we are all about decentralizing revenue streams, creating revenue streams and values for your layer 1 assets. So you're going to see that be a continual theme for UPX World. All right. So I know that was a Wow. And it pretty much used up the time. So thank you for that, Los. All right. So we got 5 minutes. Dang, you guys, being with you guys, that did not feel like an hour. All right. Let's see here. I'm still waiting on my ex. Well, I mean, I would just, move on. You can't stay held up on your ex for too long, just saying. Let's see here. Why can't let me stop sharing so that way I can see my Twitter. I mean, I need to get like 3 extra monitors. If you're not a streamer, my goodness, I don't know how these guys do it. I don't know how, like, you have to have like eyes in the back of your head monitoring, and I can't imagine if you were playing a game and having to do this too. Like, I have a newfound respect for streamers who are like playing a game that requires mental, following the stream, making sure that everything's okay, making sure the chat's not going crazy, recognizing that we got Zombie Zabo and Zombie Zabu and Gold Shamrock. Thank you for the follows. How we make sure we don't miss anything. It's a lot of pressure. Zombie, I don't know if I followed Twitch, but I'm in Discord. Well, thank you for the follow, Zombie, and I hope that you have your blue in Discord as well. If you don't, make sure that you do, because it's going to close soon. Yes. Yeah, I think that there is an opportunity and there is a model, especially and this is why it's so important. These neighborhoods and these communities, those are going to, I cannot express this enough. The active communities and this is your chance. You really want to have a consolidated plan of, we are going to create this neighborhood and it is going to be extremely hot. We're going to focus our metaphase and we're going to have, you see it already with the racing and with other game types and with other styles, you're going to want to draw people in. As I mentioned before, there's also going to be an element of leveling. So neighborhoods inside of UpX World very much act like a guild in any other sense, where those neighborhoods will have different levels. So they'll increase level as they get, different metaphase participation, where they compete in neighborhood versus neighborhood battles and earn points and other community participation in building. They're going to level up inside of UpX World, which, back to where we started, is going to then reflect inside of Upland Wiki. So you will have a UpX World level on your Upland neighborhood or your Upland community, as well as another indicator as far as, that might be a factor for somebody who's looking to maybe buy into Upland and go, oh my gosh, this is a top tier neighborhood. It's super expensive, but maybe I start at a lower tier and work my way up. So this is going to create inside of, we have the cities, but this will even create inside of that city kind of a hierarchy naturally of neighborhoods as they progress in level and as we see them kind of bubble up to the top. And I think that that's going to create some new economic currents inside of Upland, which for active communities and groups is going to be very beneficial because you are creating value. That is something that's, I think, important to the community. It's definitely important to me. I want to make sure that we are rewarding all of the players who are working hard to create groups and communities and drive these coordinated efforts. It is not easy. It takes a lot of work. There are these people, more cheese, and I can't go through them all because I'll be here all day. But all of the community leaders who are out there, you know who you are and know that I know how hard you work to keep your communities up. And layer 2 with UpX World is going to really help shine a light on your hard work and help generate value for yourself and your communities. That is so important to what we're building and is kind of the key, I think, to our success. All right. We got 1 minute left. Let's see. It says, more cheese. Do you have to? Oh, wait. All right. Now, oh, goodness. Oh, no, goodness. I realized. Yeah, no. I don't want to get that song stuck in my head. Lots of properties for Lots of opportunities for layer 2 applications for decor. Oh, dude, the applications, we're going to bring everything to life, like gravestones that spawn zombies or create a spooky atmosphere. Oh, things that mini games. Oh, the mini games are going to be so much fun with the decor, activated decor that you go in and you're able to activate, and it creates like a mini game right there that you can play. It's being able to transform. So our database structure, and we're out of time, but and I'll maybe talk maybe a little bit more about this tomorrow of like the decor plus of certain things. We're going to have these like essentially hidden formulas that when you have a certain combination of decor and house and a theme, that it can create specialty buildings. There's going to be some really fun stuff to unlock there. And this would be the last. Will neighborhoods have to opt in or opt out of L2 or just automatically be available to all existing neighborhoods? L2 will be available to all existing neighborhoods. Everything will be in layer 2. You can't opt out. You just won't be able to have a personal, like a neighborhood metaphase, but you will still be, all of the neighborhoods will be in the city or the global ones. It'll just be a matter of how much participation you do. And it will be an opt-in. So you have to opt in if you want to have like a dedicated metaphase for your community or your node. You will have to register on upland.wiki. You will have to be verified through that process. And there's going to be some vetting and requirements to be able to unlock that feature inside of UpX World. It's not just going to be a, hey, I think I want to start a neighborhood node and community for this. There is going to be a process and a waiting and a holding period. If you are starting a new community, there are going to be certain thresholds that you have to hit before you're able to even opt in. So I want to make sure that that's very clear. So if you haven't already started it, you need to start looking at creating your communities now. So the ones that are established, the ones that are on the wiki now, the ones that have established discords and things like that, those will be part of the first wave. And then we'll start to bring in more and more neighborhoods as they get vetted through. So that is a great question. All right. Adding metaphase access to rarity will value property. Yes. Adding metaphase access to rarity of items, decor items, will add value on top of the rarity of different. Yes. So there's going to be all kinds of, we haven't talked about metaphase access. Maybe that'll be another topic for tomorrow. So remind me, Goldsmith, if you're on tomorrow, you should talk about metaphase access and kind of what we're doing with that. When launch, okay, this will be the last thing, and then I'm going to call it because I'm trying to stay on schedule. So we haven't, one of my key activities, hopefully by the end of the week, I will have at least a high level roadmap. Here's where I stand right now. Ram is doing a fantastic job behind the scenes with our Upland database that is being built. We're several million records in and counting. It is scraping the chain and filling up our database as we speak. That should be done by September 1st. Hopefully we'll have, I think he's going to be working on some APIs. So if you are a data visualizer, if you are a web developer or know somebody who is, please contact them, connect them with me. We are going to need that data visualization layer on top of our SQL database. So our first kind of thing will be probably early September for that. I'm also shooting for mid-September on our first game. So that bounty's up at $7,000. Although, and it's not a bounty, sorry, it's a contract. So you have to contact me. We have to talk and interview. Although I will just say this, I don't know if Land for Land is watching, but Land for Land has reached out and shown me some pretty exciting stuff. So that contract might be taken, but if that is something you've been on the fence about, we're kind of forming, Land for Land is looking for kind of some people to work with them. And I will likely probably help out as well because I want to get my hands dirty on the first creation. So even if you don't want to take on the contract in full yourself, if you have any interest in Unity or learning it, this first one might just be a group effort where we just go, hey, we're just going to figure it out ourselves, probably live on stream. I would like to live stream the development process just to give other people some insight into how we're thinking and what's being built. So if you are interested, or if you want the whole contract, please reach out soon. All right. Yeah, don't. No, stop asking me things, because I can't. I get really, like, I have a hard time, like, saying, like, I can't do things. So anyway, so mid September, first game, and then by the end of the year. So this year is going to be our alpha phase. So while we're on the ship, we're going to be on the ship during alpha. So the Genesis vessel is kind of the house, for the alpha phase, and that will last through this year. And then by the end of the year, we should have a site and about 3 games. And then next year, we will do the beta launch. With the beta launch, I want to have a companion app for iOS and Android. So that will be the official launch of our beta. Open beta is once we have those apps created, to have our games and our data site embedded in a mobile app. And then we'll continue to build games and features and all this good stuff. So that's where we're at with kind of the web. All right. Yeah. All right. There you go. See, Scott's just shutting it down. Thank you for calling. We're done. Thank you again, everybody, for joining. This has been fantastic. And I look forward to seeing everyone again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Cheers.